everyone, my name is Holden Hardman. Thank you so much for joining us again for another video. We've been making our way through the new Marvel shows. We finished WandaVision a couple weeks back. We started doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier last week. Really enjoyed it. We just watched the new episode 2, that came out today. And I know I've got some thoughts on it. I'd love to hear what Jeremy thought about it. This is Jeremy Branch. He's my friend from Movies Are Terrible. Great YouTube channel. Make sure to check him out and subscribe to him. Jeremy, what did you think, just generally, before we get into the nitty-gritty, what did you think of episode 2?
I feel like it was a step up. And not that episode 1 wasn't good. It's just the show's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We got 6 episodes. Let's get to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And finally, right at the beginning of this episode, we get that reunion. And I think this show definitely benefits from the chemistry and the interplay of those two characters. You and I had talked a little bit last week, and I just want to address it up at the top, that we didn't really buy into the lone scene.
Yeah.
And I actually can see what they're doing a little bit more now, and they are tackling things that I think are significant and are important. I stand behind my statement that he would definitely have been able to get a loan. However, I think there's a difference between the execution and the actual subtext of it, which I do find a lot of value in. So yeah, I think this episode gave us a lot more to dive into, which is great.
Because people were saying, real life veterans and heroes can't get loans and mortgages and stuff. But I guess my argument was there's more of a personal attachment because he brought back people that those people knew personally. It's one thing to say, the people that served in 9/11 or police officers should be able to get loans more easily. It's another thing to say, this is the police officer that saved my daughter, or this is the police officer that saved my wife. And I just feel, I still feel like he would have had more pull in that scenario. But I do understand the argument of real life heroes are struggling to get loans and all that stuff. I get that. But in the world that is Marvel right now, post blip and everything, I feel like it would have gone differently still, but I hear what everyone's saying. Anyway, that's my only addition to that from last episode.
Sure, yeah. Overall, I think it's really good. I'm happy that we are finally starting to build momentum because, again, 6 episodes. We're a third of the way through the series now.
I think the sign of a good show is that a lot of the critiques we had last time were very minuscule things, like the disagreement on the loan. I said something about there being no wind in the plane, and then of course you got people, it's not pressurized because they're only at 10,000 feet. Fair enough, but even still, there's an open door in a plane. You can drive down the interstate at 75 miles an hour, and you're still going to have some reaction. What we're arguing about is minuscule nothingness right now. So we should probably start off with the new Captain America. They really went in trying to get you to like him. One of my notes here was like, dang it, am I going to like this guy? Because they start talking, they kind of give you his resume, as they say in there, talking about he got like all these medals of honor. There was a comment about how they're like, have you ever jumped on a grenade like Steve did? And he's like, actually, yeah, 4 times.
Yeah.
I got some weird vibes from him at the very end with the way he talked to Bucky and Falcon, where he's like, stay out of my way, because you're free agents. So I have very mixed feelings about him. What are your thoughts on that?
There's a lot of reasons why he looked goofy in the suit in the end of the last episode, but the biggest way they did him dirty is leaving the ears off of the costume. Like, his ears are sticking out the side of the helmet, as opposed to, like, Cap had the cool little caps over them. Yeah. So, they did him dirty in that department. I like Wyatt Russell, the actor himself. That's Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell's son, and he's really good. Me and you actually saw him together in Overlord, Holden. I don't know if you remember that zombie movie. He was the lead guy in that. So I've got some goodwill towards him, and I agree with what you said. It's like they go out of their way to say, like, this guy, he's not an imposter by any means. He's a hero. He feels the burden even, and I like that. They give him a little bit of introspection and moments of self-doubt that let you know, like, he's not just straight up stealing the shield and going out there and being like a propaganda piece. He wants to do good. And yes, I agree with you at the end. However, I do think that Bucky and Sam were being total dicks to him. Not that they don't have reason to, but he was trying to be, cool with them and be amicable. However, from their perspective, they're not having any of it. I mean, these are Cap's 2 best friends. But yes, I was wondering if they were going to go the fully propaganda piece, where he was just a mouthpiece for the government and was like a complete coward and a wimp behind the scenes. They didn't go that way, and I think the show and the characters all the stronger for that.
He made some comments about, at the very beginning, everybody in the world expects me to be something, and I don't want to fail them. He's basically conveying the same feelings that Falcon has. So
yes,
I thought that was an interesting. It's like I don't want to like him, you know, and I feel like I do like him, but I don't trust him at all right now. That's where I'm at.
The best line to me, the standout moment, the bygone Jim moment, if you will, that I think is the crux of the entire series, is when Falcon is like, "Why do you care that I gave up the shield? This doesn't even affect you. This has nothing to do with you." And he says, "You're wrong, because if Steve was wrong about you, then he was wrong about me." And that relationship, and just the burden that Bucky and Sam both carry to try to like live up to this legacy of this person who was just such an ideal, you know, he was so much better than people, you know, and I think that's it's an interesting thing that they are both struggling with in different ways, and I thought that Sebastian Stan just really nailed that. Another thing to address, which I think Marvel did a great job of addressing some of the critiques that I had in the first episode, that I felt it was weighted to Bucky being a bit more compelling. I think going back and showing Sam meeting Bucky's former soldier friend, the other super soldier, I think that was another really powerful moment that I kind of bought into the subtext a little bit more than I did the first episode around, and I feel like it's doing a good job of developing that character further.
Before we dive more into like the subtext stuff of the show, which is becoming much more prominent now, just from strictly the action sequence where Bucky and Falcon are fighting on the trucks, you know, and then we have the reveal of the girl from Solo. You know, that's all I know her from, you know.
Yeah.
I really like that. It was kind of an interesting thing to see the new Captain America and his sidekick Battlestar show up and join in as well. And there was one brief moment where the new guy threw the shield and hit a couple dude, and Bucky grabs it and he like gives it back to him, just very, very briefly. It just really stuck out to me. I was like, ooh, even in that moment you could just see Bucky like, you know, yeah, here you go kind of thing.
I've made the joke before that every superhero movie needs a good train or top of a flatbed truck kind of scene, or like a semi-truck or whatever, but they executed it very well. I like a lot of the choreography in this show, and it's interesting that Red Wing is actually kind of becoming a character at this point, where that's Sam's drone. I'm sure you guys know that, but it's really kind of like playing on a personality more similar to the droids in Star Wars, which I think is a cool little extra ripple, or an extra little layer of just fun stuff for the fans. But yeah, that was a great action sequence, and I suppose that would have been the one action showcase of the episode, similar to the Grand Canyon run in episode 1.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do with Red Wing, since that freedom fighter girl
it's totally destroyed.
So they could probably bring it back. I mean, they just take its SD card and put it in another one. I don't know.
Hey, if they could do it with Black Panther in his movie, then they can pretty much bring anybody back.
Well, they did it with Vision too. I mean, they just unlocked his memory, so I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll come back. Talk about all the subtext and the kind of racial tension in the country. They really were focusing a lot on that. They even referenced Black Falcon, and he's like, it's just Falcon. Line. Yeah, and he's like, oh, my dad says you're the Black Falcon. He's like, well, is it because I'm black? And he's like, no. And he's like, what about, should I call you Black Kid? You know, and he's like, whatever, man. I liked all that. That was really great. That whole scene with Isaiah and Bucky, and that tension that was built in there, and then you could also see it on Sam and that struggle there, and the kind of the resentment straight up of like, there was a black super soldier just like Steve all this time, and y'all imprisoned him and ran all these tests on, like, what the heck, man. And then adding on top of that, the police showing up and talking to Bucky like, hey, is this guy bothering you? You know, just there's all that. And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that scene drove it home to me in a way that I felt there was a emotional aspect to it that I felt was missing in episode 1. Maybe it's just spending a little bit more time with the characters and getting into the flow of the series, but I thought they handled that incredibly well. And a cool little piece of trivia is that character has been retconned in the comic books to where he was actually the original Captain America, because they were willing to do because they were willing to do the super soldier experiments on African Americans before they would test them on the white soldiers. So that's been retconned for the show already. That's not exactly the case, because this was while Steve was on ice that Isaiah was fighting as a super soldier. But
yeah,
I really like that. It's like, they say history was written by the winners, and there's absolutely validity to that. And then also, people are guilty of omission, whether it's a part of our history we're ashamed of, whether it's a part of our history that we just want to sweep under the rug so that we can keep the moral high ground. History has a tendency to be biased towards the people who are writing said history. So I really like the fact that it is starting to explore the way that legacies were taken from African American inventors throughout the history of America. I mean, there are several big examples of this, and I'm all for the MCU and this particular series exploring these kind of topics. I feel that there is the tricky part is finding the delicate balance between doing it in a way that is, meaningful versus a way that's pandering. And I think having the showrunner that they do really helps bring an authenticity to it.
At the very end, one of those moments that I was just like, oh my gosh, they go to see Zemo, and they show him very briefly, that little cliffhanger leading into episode 3. Because I remember when we did Civil War for My Friend Watches, and you were very strong, and Zemo is the best MCU villain so far. He has objectively done the most damage internally to the Avengers than any other villain, including Thanos. So I'm so excited to see what they're going to do with him moving forward.
And I still stand by that, because you said it right. He didn't have to have super strength. He didn't have to have Infinity Gauntlet or the Infinity Stones. He just was clever. And yeah, a lot of it was very convenient. I can acknowledge that. But from a narrative perspective, from the storytelling perspective, I feel like in the context of the film, he was very effective. And I'm wondering, Holden, do you think that we're going to get, because what my expectation was is Zemo's going to be the bad guy. And now I'm starting to wonder if Zemo's going to be the Hannibal Lecter type character.
Yeah. What we've learned from WandaVision is that we don't know what to expect. I wouldn't be surprised either way, if he is going to be the villain or if he's going to be the Hannibal Lecter type that helps them capture the freedom fighter people. One other thing I did want to add to it is the kind of the Incredibles problem that Syndrome said, when everybody's super, then no one will be. And now that we're starting to introduce all these extra super soldiers that have skills similar to Captain America, what does that mean moving forward? I mean, does that diminish Captain America more?
I've had that issue with the Marvel approach to comic book movies at different times, and not that they've dropped the ball or screwed up or done anything wrong, but at some point when we've got all the X-Men, we've got all the Avengers, we've got 50 super soldiers running around over here, aliens, wizards, sorcerers, all of these different things, it gets to be to where even power sets get redundant, right? Like there's a Pyro and a Human Torch, and once they're all on screen together, you kind of start to see the fact that what makes them special, you kind of lose that. And you and I are big Spider-Man fans, and I feel that Spider-Man in the MCU is fundamentally a different character from Spider-Man in his own movies.
It reminds me of like the Dragon Ball Z problem, in the sense that as the powers and the people that have more strength continue to come, the heroes have to match that, and basically you get into this repetitive cycle of, there's this level we have to achieve or go beyond, we do that. A new villain comes in and we have to continue doing it over again and over again and over again now. And kind of like with Marvel, where we started off with a simple Iron Man movie and have evolved to this point of possibly introducing X-Men, Fantastic Four, other even more powerful villains than Thanos. And like in Dragon Ball, it started off with just this kid in the forest that was like a little stronger than other people, and now he's literally with gods. There does have to be a level of caution and a level of foresight in moving forward with the MCU, and I share in that kind of worry once you start having the X-Men and Pyro and Johnny Storm and all that. What does that look like going forward?
We still haven't seen Agent 23 yet.
Right.
Sharon Carter. There's other characters that haven't shown up yet. We know Rhodey's probably coming back towards the end, but is this going to have the sort of implications, the sort of ripples in throughout the MCU that something like WandaVision did? Or do you think that because it came out first that it's not going to be such a widespreading ramifications.
They're fundamentally different shows. You know, there's nobody, while there are wizards and whatnot in the universe, these are still two guys, albeit Bucky, a very strong, abnormally strong person, and Falcon, who can fly. There was even a comment where he's like, I can take him, I have a vibranium arm, and he's like, and I can fly, who gives a, who cares? I don't know. I don't know, like, the lasting impact. I feel like WandaVision, absolutely, that will impact everything else moving forward. And I don't know.
So my friend Julio was saying that Baron Zemo is the leader of a supervillain group called fill in the blank. I don't remember what they're called, but apparently they're like the Marvel equivalent of the Avengers. And he was like, we've never had a team up movie of villains versus a team up of superheroes. So maybe this could lead to that, which I love the idea of that. I'm picturing a airport fight scene between people that want to actually take each other down. And I think that could be really cool.
Yeah, I think so too. That's a good point. I've kind of like the Marvel's Legion of Doom, but setting up Legion of Doom the same way that they set up Avengers. That would be kind of interesting. Could be. I would be all for it. Of course, that's another decade of us having to invest into, one-off movies and character introductions and stuff. I'm down for it. You know that. All right, everyone. Let us know your thoughts of Falcon and the Winter Soldier down below, where we're at, our thoughts and our opinions on it. Let us know about all that stuff. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to Jeremy's channel. Movies Are Terrible. He posts some really good stuff on there. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see more fun stuff like this. Consider joining my Patreon. It's a great way to get early access to select videos like My Friend Watches, My Girlfriend Watches, all that fun stuff. As always, Jeremy and we appreciate you watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Take care.